Okay, so today we're going to talk about scientific notation. And what that is just a way to note a number, to write a number. So the first thing I want to talk about is what we call standard form. And to be in standard form just means you're not in expanded form. So here is a number that is in standard form, 569. This is what we're typically used to seeing, numbers like written like this in the standard form. If it was in the expanded form, then it would be 500. Like, what makes up this number? Oh, 500 plus 160. I have one group of 60 plus the 9. So again, we're used to seeing numbers in this standard form. Another way to write numbers is what we call a product form. And that just means it has the form, it's a number written as the product. No, that refers to a multiplication of a number. So I'm going to be multiplying two things. One number needs to be in between 1 and 10, and a simplified power of 10. So if you look down here, this is what they mean by a simplified power of 10. And if we went back to 4.1, this should help us with that. So what I do is I look to see, okay, what numbers do I have that aren't zeros? So 325. I need the number where my decimal is going to be between 1 and 10. So I need to move my decimal right here. So it's going to be 325. But I need this whole number. So I take this, notice it's still the same, but my decimal place is right here. Then I have to multiply it by a simplified power of 10. So if I was to take this number and make it look like this, I would have to move my decimal over 5 places. Okay. So this would be what we call the product form. And we don't really use this one too much. It just kind of helps us to get prepared for the next type of form. So we're changing the way it looks. So here's another one before we move on to the next type of form. This is an itty bitty number. Where's my cursor? Okay. And so I'm looking to see what non-zero number I have. So I have this 5. So what would I have to multiply this by to get this number? So I have 5. I would need to move it over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would need to have this number here to multiply by. So again, that's just in the product form. The next form is what this section is all about, scientific notation. So that is just a number written in this product form, but with the power of 10 written as an exponent. Because we really don't want to write this if we don't have to. I rather would write this as an exponent. So let me show you how that's going to look. It would still be the leading numbers 3.25 or 3 and 2500ths times, because it's still in the product form, times 10 to the 5th. So basically what we've done here is taken this simplified power and we've written it as with an exponent. Okay. This is the scientific notation. So this is our goal, is to aim to have it look like this. So here's another one. This is that same one right here. If I didn't want to write this out, this is the same as it would take me 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be 10 to the negative 4. So instead of writing this out, I can use this exponent, 10 to the negative 4. So I kind of like to think about it as just like we went through the transformers between a decimal fraction and a percent. You're kind of doing the same thing between the standard form. It's just obviously a little different, but it's still the same thing going between, I'm trying to find my cursor real quick, going between standard form. How can I change that to look like a product? And then how could I change that to look like scientific notation? And then you could go back to this standard form. Okay? And then you're also going to be able to go the other way. So what this section is about is just doing all of these different transactions or transform transformers, moving it between the way it looks from one to another. So let's go ahead and practice this. We need to write the number in scientific notation. So if I remember, that needs to be, I'm just going to go back to this slide real quick. It needs to be a number like this. Okay, that's our goal. So 4,000, so I look at my leading number, or look at my non-zero number, so it's going to be 4. It's between 1 and 10, so I'm going to multiply it by 10, and this would be 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be to the third. Okay? Because it would be 4 times 1,000, which would give you 1,000. Okay, and let's take a look at this one. So again, I'm going to look at my non-zero numbers. Okay, so it's right here. I need to put my decimal somewhere where it's going to be between 1 and 10. So it has to be right here, 7.3. And I need to multiply it by a power of 10 that gets me all the way here. So if my decimal was right here, it would take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to get all the way over here. So that's 6. Okay, again, let's take a look at we'll underline our non-zero numbers. So I have 2, 3, 1. I need to put my decimal where it's going to be between 1 and 10. So it's going to be 2.31. I need to put my decimal right here. And what can I multiply this by? A power of 10 that would move my decimal all the way over here. So remember, every time I multiply by a 10, it moves my decimal over once. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's to the 5th power. Okay, so you're in 7th grade, so we get those little negatives. And, well, I guess we're not there yet. We're still in the positives. So let's just do this last one. Oh, this is kind of interesting because they're all here. So I'm going to write this as 1.05. This would be where my decimal would need to go. But what would I multiply it by to get, if my decimal was right here, I would need to go 1, 2. So I'd have to multiply it by 2. Okay? So again, you could look at it here, it would go 1, 2, would get me back to this standard form. Now here's our little negatives, because again, you're in 7th grade, so you're like, a negative exponent? I don't understand that. What's going on? Okay, so the way I want to write this, again, I want to look for the number that's non-zero, okay, where I can put it that it will be 4 times 10 to some exponent, okay? That if I put my decimal here, how many times would I have to move to the left? So every time I move to the left, it's going to be dividing by a 10, which would give me a negative. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be to the negative 6. Okay. Again, I looked for the number that would give me between 1 and 10, and then I move it to get back to the decimal. Okay, so where would I need to put my decimal if I was looking at this to get to a number between 1 and 10? Yep, that's right here. Okay, so 4.75. I need to multiply it by 10, and I know it's going to be a negative because it's itty bitty. So to get from here back to here, it would go 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be the negative 3. Okay, and so let's look at this next one. So again, taking my non-zero numbers, it needs to be between 1 and 10. So it's going to be right here. Oops, sorry about that. So it's going to be 2.37 times 10, and it would take me 1, 2, negative 2, to get back to that original place. Okay, so we're going to highlight the non-zero numbers, so I notice it's right here. And I have to put my decimal here, yay. So you know it's going to be 9.7 because you need a number between 1 and 10. You're going to multiply it by 10, and it's going to have a negative because it's an itty-bitty number. This is less than 1. So it's going to take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves to the left, to the negative, okay, to get to this final answer. Okay, so now we're going to be going in reverse. So what would this look like? So the first thing we times, and I'm just going to expand this out. This is 10 with, it's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So it's going to be 1 with 5 zeros. So if I was to multiply this, so it would be 72, and I'm going to have my zeros. Another way you could look at it is how you can move the 7.2. You need to move this decimal right here 5 times, because every time you multiply by a 10, it moves your decimal to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to fill it in with the zeros. Okay, notice it gives me the same answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that shortcut. So it's going to be 3.5. I need to move this over. Oh, it's the positive, so I'm going to move it to the right. 1, 2, 3. So I'll just rewrite this as 3,500. Put your comma there if you want. Now, this is going to be an itty-bitty number because you get your negatives. So again, I'm just going to write it as 4.65. So this tells me how many times I'm going to move my decimal. And I'm going to move it to the left because it's the negative. So technically what I'm doing is dividing by 10, by 10, by 10, 7 times. So here we go. I'm going to move it over 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And put your decimal. Okay. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros, because remember it's always going to be 1 less than. So I'm going to rewrite that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 465. That's an itty bitty number. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So again, it's going to be an itty bitty number, so I'm just going to put the 5.1 out here. And my decimal has to move to the left. How many spots? 4. So right now it's here, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Put my new decimal, and I fill it in. So I'm just going to rewrite that as 1, 2, 3, 5, 1. Okay, so we'll be practicing this, and hopefully you will ask questions, write down whatever you need help on, and I'll see you in class.